The night I realized the cries from the attic belonged to my granddaughter, I stopped breathing. And the worst part? The house wasn't a stranger's. It was my son-in-law's. I'm Dr. Maren Cole. For 32 years, I wore the black robe. 32 years of presiding over family court in Chicago, sentencing abusers, removing children from dangerous homes, signing protection orders with my name in bold ink at the bottom. I believed to God, how I believed, that I could see monsters coming from a mile away. But I missed the one living right next door to me, the one married to my daughter, the one who smiled at me over Sunday dinner while my granddaughter was locked in an attic, 6 feet of drywall and insulation away from where I slept. My hands are shaking as I tell you this. Even now, 18 months later, I can still feel that moment. The exact second when everything I thought I knew shattered like glass under a gavel. If you're listening to this, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from, because I need to know I'm not alone in this. I need to know that someone out there understands what it means to fail the people you love most. This is the story of how I became the judge in my own family's case, and how sometimes the only way to save the people you love is to break every rule you've ever believed in. Let me take you back to where it started. 14 months ago, September, when I thought moving to Seabury Cove, Massachusetts would be the beginning of healing. The U-Haul smelled like cardboard and regret. 63 years old, and I was starting over. Running, really, from Chicago, from my career, from the final case that broke me, a father who'd seemed so credible on the stand. I'd granted him custody. 2 weeks later, his 7-year-old daughter was in the ICU. She survived. I couldn't sit in that courtroom anymore, couldn't trust my own judgment. So I retired, and I ran. My daughter Elaine, 38 years old, and I barely knew her, had called me a year ago, after my son Daniel's funeral. Her voice small, hesitant. "Mom, maybe now that you're retiring, you could move closer? Lily would love to see you more." The vulnerability in her voice had cracked something open in me. Guilt, longing. All those years I'd chosen work over her. All those school plays I'd missed. Birthday calls I'd cut short for a brief to review. So here I was, driving into Seabury Cove, picturesque New England town, white clapboard houses, the smell of salt water and money. My new cottage was small but comfortable. Blue shutters, front porch, 3 blocks from the ocean. And across the narrow side yard, separated by maybe 15 feet, Graham and Elaine's rental property, their investment house, empty right now. "Isn't it perfect?" Graham had said, when I'd mentioned the coincidence. "You'll practically be neighbors." At the time, I'd thought it was lucky. Looking at it now, dark windows, drawn curtains, no rental sign, something felt off. I shook it off. Paranoia. 32 years of seeing the worst in people. The first Sunday dinner was when I should have known. Graham's house was perfect. Professional photos everywhere. The perfect family. But Elaine, Elaine, had changed. Too thin, collarbones sharp, her smile practiced, not reaching her eyes. "Where's Lily?" I asked. "I brought her books." "Homework," Graham answered before Elaine could. "She's homeschooled now. Better for her anxiety. The structure helps." The way he said anxiety, like a diagnosis, a label, a justification. "Can I say hello?" After dinner, his voice was firm, final. During the meal, I watched every detail my 32 years had taught me to notice. Elaine cut her food into tiny pieces, never ate them, flinched when Graham's phone buzzed, apologized when she knocked over salt, sorry, and the way Graham squeezed her hand. Too hard. His voice too gentle. "It's okay, baby, but maybe slow down, you're jumpy tonight." She froze, went completely still. I never saw Lily that night. At the door, Graham's hand on my shoulder. Elaine needs family around. She's been struggling since Daniel. The grief, the anxiety, the depression. She's fragile. Always has been. He leaned closer. If you notice anything that seems off, tell me. I worry about what she might do if she gets too overwhelmed. The message was clear. Don't trust Elaine. Trust me. I walked home in the dark, my instincts screaming. The rental house next door wasn't empty. I noticed it the first week. Fresh tire tracks, an attic window with condensation, and sounds. Late at night, I heard it. Soft thumping, rhythmic, like footsteps. Then humming, high-pitched, childlike. It stopped abruptly, mid-note. I stood at my window, heart pounding, staring at the dark house. Just pipes, old houses settling, my imagination. But the sounds continued, every night, crying, singing, then silence. The visits with Elaine got worse. Graham was always there. I was just driving by, he'd say, every time. She never drove. Graham worries about my driving. I had a fender bender. She checked her phone constantly, looked terrified at every notification. And Lily? I never saw Lily. How's school going? I'd ask. Great. She's so much happier homeschooled. Elaine's answers were rehearsed. Hollow. Can I see her? Take her for ice cream. She's busy right now. Soon. Soon never came. One morning, I saw Graham at the rental house. 6 a.m. Carrying groceries inside. 10 minutes later, he left. At coffee, I mentioned it casually. I saw Graham at the rental house yesterday. Elaine's cup clattered. Coffee everywhere. Just storage, she said, wiping frantically. Work files. Why not store them at your house? I don't know, Mom. Why does it matter? Her voice sharp, then immediately, sorry, I'm just tired. Graham appeared in the cafe doorway. Like magic. There you are, baby. I've been calling. He kissed her head, eyes on me. We should go. Remember? Lily's appointment? As they left, his hand on her elbow, steering her, I pulled up public records on my phone. Found it. Building permit. 3 years ago. 43 Oleander Lane. The rental house. Attic renovation. Reinforced floor joists. New insulation. Soundproofing. Deadbolt lock. Soundproofing. My hands started shaking. The humming, the crying, the window with condensation. Lily, who I hadn't seen in weeks. Lily, who was always busy. My granddaughter was in that attic, right next door. That night, I lay awake, listening. Around 2 a.m. A cry, soft but unmistakable. A child's cry. Then a thud. I was at the window in seconds. The attic window, dark. Then, just for a moment, a small shadow, a pale face, dark hair. A girl, looking out, looking at me. Then nothing. The shadow disappeared. Lily. I grabbed my phone, called 911. There's a child, in the house next door, crying. I think she's trapped. Ma'am, what's the address? I gave it. Voice breaking. Do you know who lives there? My son-in-law owns it, but there shouldn't be anyone. Is this a custody situation? I don't know. Please, just send someone. Officer Reeves arrived 20 minutes later, young, skeptical. So you heard crying, and you think it's your granddaughter. I saw her, in the window. Ma'am, have you been in contact with your daughter? Yes, but... He knocked, called out, nothing. Tried the door, locked, peered in windows. I don't see any signs of distress. The house looks secure. The attic. I don't see anything unusual, he sighed. Look, I understand you're concerned, but I need probable cause. Right now, all I have is a noise complaint for an empty house. Unless you have something more concrete. He left. I stood in my driveway, shaking. They didn't believe me. I looked up at the attic window, dark, silent. But I knew. My granddaughter was in there, being held, hidden, erased. And no one was going to help me. I was going to have to save her myself. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that pale face in the window, Lily's face. My granddaughter, 10 years old, trapped 6 feet away from me while I slept in comfortable ignorance. At 6 a.m., I was already dressed, coffee in hand, positioned at my bedroom window like a sentry, watching. Graham's car pulled into the rental house driveway at 6:47 a.m. My heart stopped. He got out, looked around, unhurried, then unlocked the front door, disappeared inside. I pressed my face against the glass, breath fogging it up. Come on, come on. Show me something. 12 minutes later, he emerged, carrying nothing. His face relaxed, almost peaceful. He drove away. I was out my door before I could think. Crossed the narrow yard in my slippers, wet grass soaking through. Tried the front door of the rental house. Locked. Went around back. Tried that door. Locked. All the windows on the first floor, locked or painted shut. I stood in the backyard, looking up at the attic window. 40 feet up. No way to reach it. No ladder tall enough. No fire escape. That was intentional. I knew it in my bones. Morning, neighbor. I spun around. A woman in her 50s stood at the property line, holding a coffee mug. Warm eyes. Gray hair in a neat bun. Worn cardigan. I'm Ruth Delgado. Live 2 houses down. She gestured with her mug. You're Dr. Cole, right? Graham's mother-in-law? I forced a smile. Tried to look normal. Not like a woman who'd just been caught prowling around a locked house at dawn. Yes, Marin. I just moved in. I know. Small town. She smiled, but her eyes were sharp, assessing. Everything okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Something in her voice, a gentleness, a knowing, made my throat tighten. The words caught. Where would I even start? I heard something last night. From this house. A child crying. Ruth's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. This house, but it's empty. That's what I thought, but I heard. I stopped. How insane did I sound? Never mind. I'm probably just adjusting. New place, you know. I was a social worker, Ruth said quietly. 28 years with Child Protective Services. Retired 5 years ago. She took a sip of coffee, eyes still on mine. And in my experience, when someone says they heard a child crying, they usually did. The relief that flooded through me was almost painful. The police came last night, I said. They didn't believe me. They wouldn't, not without evidence. Ruth stepped closer, voice dropping. But I believe you, and I think we should talk, properly, not out here in the open. Why? Because Graham Whitford has cameras everywhere, and if you're right about what you heard, the last thing we want is for him to know we're paying attention. An hour later, Ruth and I sat in my kitchen. I told her everything, the sounds, the permit, the way Elaine had changed, the way Graham controlled every interaction. Ruth listened without interrupting. When I finished, she set down her mug. How long since you've actually seen Lily? In person? Not since I moved here. 6 weeks. And before that? My son's funeral, a year ago. Did she seem okay then? I tried to remember. The funeral was a blur of grief and guilt. But Lily, she was quiet, stayed close to Elaine, didn't really interact with anyone. I thought she was just processing her uncle's death. Or she was already being isolated. Ruth pulled out her phone. I still have contacts. Let me make some calls, quietly. See what I can find out about Lily Whitford's current status. School records, medical records, anything. Won't that raise red flags? Not if I'm careful. I know how to ask questions without asking questions. She stood. In the meantime, you need to act normal. Visit Elaine. Don't mention Lily. Don't mention the house. We can't give Graham any reason to move her. Move her! The phrase made my blood run cold. You think he would? Ruth's expression was grim. If he thinks we're onto him? Absolutely. Men like Graham, control is everything. The moment that control is threatened, they escalate. They move. They disappear. They eliminate the problem. We need to call the police again. Call Child Protective Services. Someone. With what evidence? A sound you heard in the night? A renovation permit from 3 years ago? That's not enough, Marin. Not even close. We need something concrete. Something undeniable. So, what do? We watch, we document, and we wait for him to make a mistake. Ruth headed for the door, then paused. One more thing. Don't underestimate him. Men like Graham, they're smart, calculating. They've thought through every scenario. If you confront him directly, he'll have an answer. A perfect, reasonable answer that makes you look paranoid. I knew. God, I knew. I'd seen it 100 times in court. After Ruth left, I sat at my kitchen table and made a list. Old habits. When facing a complex case, break it down. Evidence, timeline, pattern of behavior. Facts. Lily hasn't been seen publicly in months. Renovation permit for attic. Soundproofing. Reinforced locks. Graham visits rental house regularly. Early morning. Sounds from attic. Crying, humming, footsteps. Elaine shows signs of abuse, weight loss, anxiety, isolation, controlled behavior. Graham exhibits controlling behavior, isolation, gaslighting, surveillance. Questions. Where does Elaine think Lily is? Is Elaine complicit or another victim? How long has Lily been in the attic? What triggered this? What changed 3 years ago? That last question nagged at me. 3 years ago, the renovation. What happened 3 years ago? I grabbed my laptop, started searching. Social media. Elaine's Facebook. I scrolled back. 3 years ago. Posts about Lily. Lily at the beach. Lily's birthday party. Lily starting 2nd grade. Then, abruptly nothing. The posts about Lily stopped. For months, Elaine barely posted at all. Then, slowly, posts resumed. But only about Graham. Graham's promotion. Graham's charity work. Graham and Elaine at dinner. Graham. Lily had been erased. I kept scrolling. Found a post from 3.5 years ago. Elaine had written, "Sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same. Choosing my family, choosing safety, choosing love." Choosing safety. The comments were supportive but vague. "Proud of you. You're so strong. He's lucky to have you." What had she been referring to? What choice had she made? My phone rang. Ruth. "I found something," she said without preamble. Lily Whitford was enrolled in Seabury Cove Elementary. Good student. No behavioral issues. Then, 3 years ago, September, she was withdrawn. Reason listed. Transitioning to homeschool for medical reasons. Medical reasons? That's all it says. But here's the thing. I called the pediatrician's office, pretended to be confirming an appointment. The receptionist told me Lily hasn't had a checkup in over 2 years. They've sent multiple reminders to the family. That's neglect. It's suspicious, but it's not proof she's being held captive. Lots of parents are bad about checkups. What about Child Protective Services? Have there been any reports? None. No reports, no investigations, no red flags in the system. Ruth paused, which either means everything's fine or Graham is very, very good at keeping up appearances. After we hung up, I stared at my notes. We needed more. Something concrete. I needed to talk to Elaine. Alone. The coffee shop. I texted Elaine. Kept it light, casual. "Coffee tomorrow?" Just us? I miss you." 3 hours later, she responded, "Can't tomorrow. Maybe next week?" "Please, sweetheart. I really want to spend time with you. Just an hour, my treat." The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Okay, tomorrow, 10 a.m., the cafe on Main Street." Victory felt hollow. An hour. I had 1 hour to get through to her. The next morning, I arrived early, chose a table in the back, away from windows, away from Graham's potential line of sight. Elaine arrived exactly at 10. She'd lost more weight. Her sweater hung off her frame, dark circles under her eyes. "Mom." She hugged me, and she felt like she might break. We ordered, made small talk, the weather, my cottage, her garden. Then I took a breath. "Elaine, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." Her expression closed immediately. "Mom, when was the last time you saw Lily?" Silence. "Elaine, this morning. I saw her this morning, but she wouldn't meet my eyes." "Where is she right now?" "At home, studying." "Your home or the rental house?" Her face went white. "What are you? Why would you?" "I heard her, Elaine. I heard her crying from the attic next door." "You're wrong." Her voice was shaking. "You're confused. The houses are close together. Sounds carry." "I saw the renovation permit, soundproofing, reinforced locks. Why would a rental property need that?" "Stop." Her hands were trembling so badly. Coffee sloshed over the rim of her cup. "Please stop." "Is she in there right now? Is Lily locked in that attic?" "No, no, you don't understand." "Then help me understand." Elaine looked around the cafe, terrified, checking for cameras, for Graham, for whatever invisible leash kept her bound. "I can't," she whispered. "I can't talk about this." "Why not?" "Because he'll know. He always knows." "How? How does he know?" She pulled out her phone, showed me the screen, a dozen apps. "He tracks my location, my calls, my texts, everything." "Then turn it off." "I can't. If I do, he'll know something's wrong. If I'm somewhere I'm not supposed to be. If I talk to someone he doesn't approve of." Her breath was coming faster. Panic attack building. "You don't understand what he's like, what he can do." I reached across the table, gripped her hand. Tell me what happened, please." For a long moment, I thought she wouldn't answer. Then, so quietly I almost missed it. "I tried to leave him 3 years ago. I packed a bag, took Lily. We made it 2 days." Her eyes filled with tears. "He found us, called the police, told them I was having a breakdown, that I'd stolen our daughter. He had a doctor, his doctor, write a letter saying I was mentally unstable, needed evaluation." My heart was breaking. "Elaine." "They believed him. Of course they believed him. Graham's respected, successful, a pillar of the community, and I was just a hysterical wife." The tears spilled over. "He took Lily for 2 weeks. Punishment. When she came back, she was different, quiet, terrified. And he told me if I ever tried to leave again, I'd never see her at all. So he locked her up." "No, it's complicated." "Elaine, is our granddaughter in that attic right now?" She pulled her hand away, stood up. "I have to go." "Elaine, please." "You need to stop asking questions, Mom. Please. You're making everything worse." She grabbed her purse, hands shaking. "He's watching. He's always watching. And if you keep pushing, he'll." "He'll what?" But she was already walking away, almost running. I sat there, my own hands shaking, and watched her disappear. She hadn't denied it. She'd told me to stop asking questions, which meant I was right. I spent the next 2 days watching the rental house, documenting everything. Graham's car, 6:45 a.m., entered house. Emerged 15 minutes later. Graham's car, 6:30 p.m., entered house. Emerged 20 minutes later. He was feeding her. Had to be. Twice a day. Early morning, early evening, when neighbors were least likely to notice. Ruth came over on the third day, brought printouts. I dug deeper, she said, spreading papers across my kitchen table. 3 years ago, September, right before Lily was pulled from school, there was an incident. What kind of incident? Lily told her second-grade teacher that her daddy had a secret room where he put her when she was bad. The teacher filed a report with the school counselor. My blood went cold. And? The counselor called Graham and Elaine in for a meeting. Graham explained that Lily had an overactive imagination, that they'd been reading fairy tales, towers, locked rooms, that kind of thing. He was charming, concerned, suggested Lily might benefit from homeschooling to work through her fantasy issues. Ruth's expression was disgusted. The counselor bought it. No Child Protective Services report was filed. 2 weeks later, Lily was withdrawn from school. He was already planning it. Worse, he was grooming everyone to not believe her if she ever told. I felt sick. What about the attic renovation? When did that start? Ruth checked her notes. Permits filed August, 3 years ago, 1 month before Lily mentioned the secret room. He'd already built her cage. We sat in silence, the horror of it settling over us like a shroud. We need to get inside that house, Ruth said finally. How? We can't break in without a warrant, and we can't get a warrant without evidence, and we can't get evidence without getting inside. There has to be another way. Ruth tapped her fingers on the table. What about Elaine? Could you convince her to let us in? She's terrified of him. She won't. Then we find another access point. Windows, basement, something. That night, I walked the perimeter of the rental house. Ruth was right. We needed a way in. But every window was locked. The basement windows were too small for an adult to fit through. I was about to give up when I saw it. The electrical box on the side of the house, and next to it, a small window, just big enough. But it was 8 feet off the ground. I'd need a ladder, and I'd need to do it when Graham wasn't there, when the street was quiet. And I'd need to be prepared for what I might find. It took me 3 days to work up the courage. 3 days of watching Graham's schedule. He was predictable. Morning visit, 6:45 a.m. Evening visit, 6:30 p.m. The house was empty the rest of the day. I waited until Tuesday, midday. The street quiet. Most neighbors at work. I'd borrowed a ladder from my garage, positioned it under the high window. My heart was hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. This was breaking and entering. If I was caught, I'd lose everything. My reputation, my credibility, any chance of helping Lily through legal means. But if I was right, if Lily was in there, I couldn't wait for the system to catch up. I climbed the ladder. The window was locked, but old. I used a putty knife, another item I'd never thought I'd use for crime, and after 3 tries, the lock gave. The window opened with a shriek of old wood. I froze, waited. No alarms, no sounds. I squeezed through the window, dropped onto the floor inside with a thud that echoed through the empty house. I was in a bedroom, empty, dusty, no furniture. The house was silent, too silent. "Lily?" I called softly. "Lily, it's Grandma. I'm here to help." Nothing. I moved through the house. Living room, empty. Kitchen, empty. 1 mug in the sink, 1 plate. The stairs to the second floor creaked under my feet. "Lily? Sweetheart, if you can hear me." A door at the end of the hall, different from the others, newer, with a deadbolt on the outside. My hands shook as I reached for it. Locked. Of course it was locked. Graham had the key. "Lily!" I pounded on the door. "Lily, are you in there?" Silence. Then, so faint I almost missed it, a small voice. Grandma? I almost collapsed. Yes, yes, baby, it's me. I'm going to get you out. You can't. The door. I know. I'm going to break it down. I stepped back, tried to remember everything I'd ever seen in movies. Shoulder to the door. All my weight. The door didn't budge. I tried again. Pain shot through my shoulder. Again. The door cracked but didn't open. Grandma, you have to go. Lily's voice was urgent now. He has cameras. He'll see you. He'll be so angry. Cameras. Oh, God. I looked up. There, Dot in the corner of the hallway. A small camera. Red light blinking. He was watching. Had been watching this whole time. My phone buzzed. A text. From an unknown number. Unknown. Step away from the door, Marin. Or, I call the police and have you arrested for breaking and entering. Your choice. Graham. Let her go. Please. I won't tell anyone. Just let her go. Unknown. You need to leave. Now. Before you make this worse for everyone. Especially for Lily. I'm not leaving without her. Unknown. Then you're leaving in handcuffs. Police are already on their way. I told them I got an alert about a break-in at my rental property. They'll be there in 5 minutes. So you have a choice. Leave now, or explain to them why you broke into my house and tried to break down a locked storage room door. A storage room. He was already spinning the narrative. Grandma? Lily's voice was scared now. Please go. Please. He'll hurt Mama if you don't. And there it was. The leverage. The control. I pressed my hand against the door. I'm coming back for you. I promise. Do you hear me? I'm not giving up. Please go. I ran. Down the stairs. Out through the window. Grabbed the ladder. Shoved it back in my garage. Made it inside my house just as the police car pulled up. I watched from my window as Officer Reeves, the same officer from before, checked the rental house, tried the doors, found the open window, went inside. Came out 10 minutes later, got in his car, left. My phone buzzed again. Unknown. I've instructed the police that I don't want to press charges, but if you come near my property again, I will. And I'll make sure everyone knows about your unstable behavior. Your paranoia, your harassment of my family, a retired judge breaking into homes, making wild accusations. Think about what that will do to your reputation, your credibility, any chance you have of being believed about anything. He was right. He'd outmaneuvered me. Again. I sat on my floor and cried for the first time since Daniel's funeral. The next 3 days were hell. Officer Reeves came to my house, warned me, politely but firmly, to stay away from the Whitford properties. Graham wasn't pressing charges, but another incident and I'd be arrested. I understand you're going through a difficult transition, Reeves said. His voice was kind. Patronizing. Retirement can be challenging. New place. Family nearby, but not how you expected. It's normal to feel disoriented. Disoriented. That's what they thought. That I was a lonely old woman losing her grip on reality. Graham's plan was working perfectly. Elaine stopped answering my calls, my texts. When I went to her house, no one answered the door, but I saw the curtains move, saw Elaine's face in the window, pale and terrified, before she disappeared. Ruth came by daily, brought food I didn't eat, tried to strategize. We need a new approach, she said. Legal channels aren't working. The police won't help. Child Protective Services won't investigate without a credible report. So what do? We build a case, document everything. Every visit Graham makes, every time Elaine acts afraid, every piece of evidence we can gather. Then we take it to someone who can't ignore it. Who? I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. But I was losing hope, losing my mind. I spent hours at my window, watching the rental house, watching for any sign of Lily. Sometimes, late at night, I heard her crying. Or maybe I imagined it. Maybe I was unstable. Maybe 32 years of cases had broken something in me, and now I was seeing horrors that weren't there. Maybe Graham was right. No. I pressed my hands against the cold window glass and forced myself to remember the face I'd seen, the voice I'd heard through the door. Grandma? That was real. Lily was real. And I'd promised her I'd come back. It came on a Wednesday. Ruth called, voice urgent. Get over here, now. I found her in her living room, laptop open. Her face was grim. I went through public records, property transfers, financial documents, anything I could find on Graham Whitford. And 3 years ago, right after Elaine tried to leave, Graham transferred full ownership of both properties into his name only, refinanced, took out a life insurance policy on Elaine. Big one. $2 million. My blood went cold. Why would he? I don't know. But here's what worries me. Men like Graham, they plan ahead. They think long term. He's built himself a perfect scenario. Elaine's been painted as mentally unstable, isolated, if something happened to her. He'd get the insurance money, custody of Lily, and no one would question it. Exactly. And with Lily already invisible, already erased from public record, Ruth trailed off. Let the implication hang. We sat in silence, the horror of it crushing. There's more, Ruth said quietly. I talked to a former colleague, off the record, told her about the situation, no names. She said in cases of coercive control and captivity, there's usually an escalation pattern. It starts with emotional abuse, isolation, then physical control. Then what? Then the captor gets comfortable, confident. They get sloppy, make mistakes, and that's when victims have the best chance of escape. She looked at me. Or when things get much worse very quickly. What are you saying? I'm saying we're running out of time. Graham knows you're on to him. He's been threatened, and threatened abusers either back down or they escalate. They don't just maintain the status quo. My phone buzzed. A text from Elaine. Elaine, I need to see you. Tonight, 9 p.m. Your house. Come alone. Don't tell anyone. Please, Mom. This is important. I showed Ruth. It could be a trap, she said. Or it could be her reaching out. If Graham sees her coming to your house. I don't care. If she's finally ready to talk, I'm not missing this chance. At 8:55 p.m., I stood at my window, watching. At 9:02, a figure appeared. Elaine. Wrapped in a dark coat, hood up. She moved quickly, head down, slipped through my front door like a ghost. She looked worse than I'd ever seen her. Gaunt, exhausted, a bruise on her jaw, poorly covered with makeup. Elaine. I reached for her. She flinched, then let me hug her, started crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Mom. I should have told you. Should have done something sooner. But I was so scared. Shh. It's okay. I'm here now. We're going to fix this. You can't fix it. She pulled away, wiping her eyes. You don't understand, Graham. He's not going to let us go, either of us. Tell me what happened. All of it. She sat on my couch, took a shaky breath. It started slowly, after we got married. Little things. He'd check my phone, ask where I'd been, get upset if I spent too much time with friends. I thought it was just insecurity, that he loved me too much. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. Let her talk. Then Lily was born, and it got worse. He had rules, so many rules, about how to feed her, dress her, raise her. If I didn't follow them exactly, he'd get angry. Not yelling, not hitting, just cold, distant, punishing. And 3 years ago, I'd had enough. I took Lily and ran. My friend Sarah helped us. We had a plan. Drive to her sister's place in Vermont. Stay there until I could file for divorce, get a restraining order. Her voice broke. We made it one night. He tracked my phone, found us at a motel, convinced me to come back. Said he'd change, said he'd get help. But he didn't. No, he got worse. Started talking about Lily, about how public school was dangerous, how other kids were a bad influence, how she needed to be protected. Elaine's hands were shaking. I thought he meant homeschooling. But then he started talking about the special room, where Lily could focus, where she'd be safe from the world. The attic. Yes, a sob broke free. He built it, told me it was for storage, but I knew what it was really for. And when I tried to object, she touched the bruise on her jaw. He reminded me what happens when I don't cooperate, what he'd do if I ever tried to leave again. Elaine, is Lily in that attic right now? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. How long? 6 months, full-time. Before that, it was just sometimes. When she misbehaved, when she talked back, he'd put her in there for a few hours, a day. But 6 months ago, she told me she wanted to go back to real school, wanted to see her friends. Elaine's voice was barely a whisper. He said she was being ungrateful, disobedient. That she needed to learn. And you didn't stop him. I couldn't. She looked at me with desperate, wild eyes. Don't you understand? I tried. I begged. I threatened to call the police. And he laughed. He said no one would believe me. He'd tell them I was crazy, unstable. He has doctors, lawyers, friends. Everyone believes him. Everyone loves him. I believe you. But you can't do anything. You already tried. You broke into the house and he called the police on you. Now everyone thinks you're the unstable one. She grabbed my hands. That's why I came tonight. To warn you. To tell you to stop. Stop? He's planning something, Mom. I don't know what. But he's been different lately. Agitated. Making phone calls in private. Looking at properties online. Far away. Other states. Her breath hitched. I think he's going to move us. Move Lily somewhere I can't find her. And I'll never see her again. Ice flooded my veins. When? I don't know. Soon. Maybe days. Then we don't have time for the legal system. We need to get her out now. How? He's always watching. The cameras, the locks. Even if we got into the house, even if we got the door open, he'd know. He'd come. And then, she couldn't finish the sentence. I thought fast. Decades of legal strategy, criminal cases, understanding how predators think. The only way this works is if we have evidence he can't deny. Video of Lily in that attic. Testimony from her. Something irrefutable. And then what? We still need to get her out. We create a distraction, something that forces him away from the house long enough for us to act. Like what? I was about to answer when Elaine's phone buzzed. She looked at it, face draining of color. He knows. He knows I'm here. How? The app. It tracks my location. I tried to turn it off, but she stood, panicking. I have to go, now, if I stay too long. Elaine, wait. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come. I just wanted to warn you, to say goodbye in case. She was backing toward the door. Don't give up. Please. We're going to get Lily out. I promise you. There's no way out, Mom. Not for any of us. She opened the door, stepped into the darkness. I love you. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough. Then she was gone. I stood in my doorway and watched her disappear into the night. And I made a decision. The law had failed. The system had failed. Everything I'd believed in for 32 years had failed. So I was going to break every rule I'd ever upheld. I was going to save my granddaughter, no matter what it cost. That night, Ruth and I sat at my kitchen table. We get one shot, she said. We need Graham away from that house long enough to get Lily out. I thought about what mattered most to him. Control, reputation, his perfect image. A bomb threat, I said. His office building. Anonymous call. He'll have to go. Ruth stared at me. That's a federal crime. So is what he's doing to Lily. I met her eyes. I'll make the call. You keep watch. 1 hour. That's all we need. I called Elaine that night. Told her the plan. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. When Graham leaves, be ready to run. Mom, do you want to spend the rest of your life like this? Silence. Then, okay. Thursday, 1:58 p.m. I dialed 911 from a burner phone. Muffled my voice. There's a bomb in the Harborview building downtown. Set to go off at 3 p.m. Hung up. Waited. At 2:14 p.m., Graham's car peeled out of the driveway. I ran. Bolt cutters on the back door lock. Inside the rental house in seconds. Up the stairs. The attic door. Reinforced. Deadbolted. Crowbar. Pull. The wood splintered. Again. The door cracked open. The smell hit first. Then I saw her. Lily. On a thin mattress. Too thin. Pale. 10 years old and looking like a ghost. Grandma? She started crying. I crossed the room. Pulled her into my arms. I've got you. You're safe now. Daddy said you wouldn't come back. I always believed you. I helped her stand. Her legs shook. We have to go, now. I documented everything with my phone. Photos, video, Lily's testimony. Clear, heartbreaking. Then we ran. Down the stairs. Out the back door. Graham stood in the yard, blocking our path. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with rage. What do you think you're doing, Marin? I stepped in front of Lily, getting my granddaughter out of your prison. Prison? That's a therapeutic space for her behavioral issues. Stop! I held up my phone. I have video, photos, her testimony. The police are coming, and this time they'll see the truth. His mask cracked. You stupid woman, I'll destroy you. I have lawyers. Then do it. But Lily's coming with me. She's mine. He stepped forward. You're right, Elaine's voice. She appeared behind him, trembling but standing tall. I can't cope anymore. With you. Elaine, baby, you're not thinking. It's over, Graham. I'm taking Lily, and I'll testify against you. Everything. They won't believe you. My mother has evidence. Real evidence. Her voice strengthened. And I'm done being afraid. Sirens in the distance. Graham stepped back, calculating, already planning his defense. Ruth's car pulled up. Get in, now! We escaped. The hospital first. Lily examined, documented. Malnutrition, muscle atrophy, trauma. Then the police station. This time, they listened. Detective Chen was blunt. Worst case I've seen in 20 years. Mr. Whitford is being arrested. He'll be charged with kidnapping, imprisonment, child abuse. She looked at me. The bomb threat. We traced it to you. My blood froze. Normally, federal charges. But, given the circumstances, saving a child's life, I'm recommending no charges be filed. She almost smiled. Sometimes the law needs to bend for justice. 3 weeks later, Graham's trial was fast-tracked. The evidence was overwhelming. Elaine testified. Lily testified. I testified. The jury took 2 hours. 25 years to life. When the verdict was read, Graham's perfect mask finally shattered completely. Elaine cried from relief. 6 months later, spring came to Seabury Cove. Lily ran up my porch steps and hugged me. She'd grown. Filled out, her eyes were bright again. Grandma, can I borrow more Nancy Drew books? They're all yours, sweetheart. We had lunch on the porch, Elaine looked healthy, free, the fear gone from her eyes. "Thank you, Mom," she said quietly, "for not giving up. You're here now. That's what matters." Lily came back with books. "Can we come next weekend?" "Whenever you want. This is your home too, always." 1 year later, I stood before a small group of women at the community center, Ruth beside me. "My name is Dr. Marin Cole. I'm here to tell you that you're not crazy. That intuition that something's wrong, you're probably right." I told them my story, the missed signs, the self-doubt, the moment I chose to trust myself. After the meeting, a woman approached. Nervous. "My daughter. She moved away 2 years ago. She sounds different now. Her husband is always there, listening. I'm worried." "Tell me everything," I said. "We'll figure it out. Together." Because that's what we did now. Ruth and I and the other women. We watched. We listened. We believed each other. We saved the ones we could. And we never looked away. That evening, my phone buzzed. A photo from Elaine. Lily at her art show, standing next to her painting. A house, a garden, a family, bright colors, joy. Elaine. She called it home. I stared at the painting, at the hope it represented. I thought about what Lily said last week. "Grandma, I used to think the attic was all there was, but you came. You didn't give up. Justice isn't a courtroom ruling. Justice is seeing the people you love finally free. Justice is a 10-year-old girl laughing on a sunny afternoon without fear." I texted back. "Beautiful. See you Sunday? We'll be there. Love you, Mom." "Love you too. Always." I watched the stars come out over the ocean. After 32 years of presiding over other people's lives, I'd finally learned the most important lesson. Sometimes the greatest act of justice is simply refusing to look away. My name is Dr. Marin Cole. I'm here to tell you that you're not crazy. That intuition that something's wrong, you're probably right. I told them my story, the missed signs, the self-doubt, the moment I chose to trust myself. After the meeting, a woman approached. Nervous. "My daughter. She moved away 2 years ago. She sounds different now. Her husband is always there, listening. I'm worried." "Tell me everything," I said. "We'll figure it out, together." Because that's what we did now. Ruth and I and the other women. We watched, we listened, we believed each other. We saved the ones we could, and we never looked away. That evening, my phone buzzed. A photo from Elaine. Lily at her art show, standing next to her painting. A house, a garden, a family, bright colors, joy. Elaine, she called it home. I stared at the painting, at the hope it represented. I thought about what Lily said last week. "Grandma, I used to think the attic was all there was, but you came. You didn't give up." Justice isn't a courtroom ruling. Justice is seeing the people you love finally free. Justice is a 10-year-old girl laughing on a sunny afternoon without fear. I texted back. Beautiful. See you Sunday? We'll be there. Love you, Mom. Love you too. Always. I watched the stars come out over the ocean. After 32 years of presiding over other people's lives, I'd finally learned the most important lesson. Sometimes the greatest act of justice is simply refusing to look away.